Transapuseeni is calling, would you answer? Ride with me through the Apuseni Mountains in Romania, full of forest roads, curves and fresh air. I'm Diana, out of office and chasing places, and welcome to my channel. Today we're leaving Oradea, where we ended up after a completely spontaneous trip last night. Yesterday around lunchtime we decided on the spot to ride 400 kilometers just to get here. Since we have to make our way back home today, we decided to take the scenic route instead. And as a bonus, I finally get to see the Apuseni Mountains for the first time. And right here on the Oradea ring road, a bird decided to say hello. I'm not gonna lie, it gave me a bit of a scare. The road to Transpuseni was so beautiful that I kept wondering if we had already reached the route. But in reality, it took us about 3 hours to get there from Oradea. The ride was full of twisty roads and beautiful scenery, making the journey just as enjoyable as the destination. Since it's also a public holiday, the road is pretty empty. You still see a few drivers here and there carving through the curves, but overall it's a very calm day on the road. And the asphalt is in really good condition too. At this point, I was actually thinking whether I should put my rain gear on. But spoiler alert, I managed to escape the rain. Along the way, we also met some less usual road users. And this distinguished gentleman decided to wait for us to pass before crossing the road. This is Scenic, a really beautiful area. It's my first time here, but I know there's also a ski resort around. Just look how beautiful these hills are, and those little cabins scattered across the landscape. And from here the Transapuseni route truly begins. This Apuseni mountain road stretches for 78 kilometers through western Romania. It starts in Abrud and runs all the way to Aiud, and of course it can be driven in both directions. The maximum elevation along the route reaches about 1,100 meters. A large part of it is made up of single wide lane designed to fit two-way mountain traffic. Along the route, the road passes through villages such as Bucium, Coleșeni, Gura Izbitei, and many others. The section before the more serious climb is quite long, crossing multiple rural settlements and valley roads before the elevation really starts to pick up. Starting from Bârlești, the road narrows and becomes essentially a single lane per direction. Even so, it's still wide enough for two cars to pass each other with care. Further along, you'll even see vans and larger vehicles using the road without major issues. From here, the road starts to gradually climb, and we move deeper into the forested area. Along the way, we'll continue passing through small villages scattered throughout the route. I also noticed a lot of small houses with thatched roofs. I'm not sure if they're still used or what their exact purpose is, but most of them looked abandoned. If you know what they're used for, let me know in the comments. From here, the serious climb begins, along with the tighter curves. There are plenty of curves here, and I'm not exactly best friends with right-hand bands, but I call it practice. Because the road is narrower, I had to ride quite slowly, with a bit of caution. Especially in left-hand bands where visibility was limited and I couldn't see if someone was coming. Only a few corners had mirrors installed, and it would definitely be helpful to have more of them along the route. To my surprise, I thought one side would be mostly uphill and the other downhill, but the road actually keeps going up and down constantly. So the experience is pretty similar no matter which direction you come from. And the scenery just keeps getting better, lots of greenery and complete silence around the road. Just look how beautiful this little house is. The climb is still going and the curves seem to be getting even tighter and more frequent. And here it finally pays off, all the climbing starts to make sense. The mountains around open up and the views really start to show themselves. And here we reach the highest point of the route, where there's also a small parking area. I definitely recommend stopping here for a few minutes, the scenery is really worth it. Down there's also a small cabin where you can grab something to drink. Unfortunately, they didn't have any food, so we had to look for another place to eat. Leaving this spot behind, we're heading into the next part of the route. And from here on, the landscape just keeps opening up even more. Here it really feels like a proper mountain pass. Just look how beautiful the mountains are around us. I've seen a lot of nice accommodations around here, including several A-frame cabins. I can imagine it would be really nice to stay overnight in this area. As you can see, the road quality stays really good on this side as well. And this driver was kind enough to let us pass, and we also met a few others who did the same along the way. Really nice of them. The route feels like a mix of surprises. One moment we're deep in the forest, and next it suddenly opens up into a beautiful landscape. What a beautiful green hill! And this is probably the worst corner I took. I honestly thought I was going straight into the ditch. That was really close. On this side as well, the road keeps going up and down constantly and remains very twisty. get a stunning view over the mountains. And as you can see, cars can easily pass each other. This section from the top towards Aiud seems a bit busier compared to the stretch from Abrud to the peak. Maybe more people come from the Aiud side just to enjoy the scenery and then turn back afterwards. Just look how beautiful this valley is. Clearly, this side of the road is more spectacular. There's also a restaurant here if you get hungry, but we decided to head to Aiud for lunch instead. That was the most scenic part of the route. Now we're heading down to even more twisty roads through the forest towards the city. And here the single-lane section ends and we're back on a full two-lane road. And here we leave the Transapuseni route behind. We've arrived in Aiud. Look at these colored bike lanes. They don't really feel very safe since they aren't separated from the road at all and look more like a green shoulder. I even saw cars parked on them. It's kind of a typical thing in Romania, unfortunately. But at least they've tried to add some bike infrastructure. And here we've arrived in the city center, where they seem to have a really beautiful fortress. And that's it for the Transapuseni ride. Thank you for staying until the end. If you enjoyed the journey, don't forget to like, subscribe and stick around. More adventures are coming soon, both on foot and on two wheels.